You guys seem to really like it when I rank create add-ons, so I'm gonna just keep doing it. I've pretty much covered most of the really popular ones already in my last 2 ranking videos, so today we're gonna be taking a look at some more, underground stuff. Also, I love seeing your add-on suggestions. This is definitely not the last ranking video I'm gonna make, so if you have any weird recommendations you want me to check out, comment them below. Okay. No, this isn't crafts and additions, although the 2 add-ons are actually quite similar. Create stuff and additions adds a bunch of stuff and additions. In my opinion, there are 6 major standout features and everything else is just kind of mid. To start, this add-on adds a set of tools and armor for most of the create mod ores. These, in my opinion, only exist because they can. At the point of progression where you gain access to each respective tier, you probably want to be saving your materials for your contraptions. And when you're at the point where these ores are being automated, you're much better off opting for something like diamond or netherite. The only set worth considering here are the experience tools, which mine only slightly slower than diamond and offer the pretty cool benefit of emitting XP every now and then, which, if combined with mending, basically means you never have to worry about your tool breaking. Now, the selling point of this add-on comes from these 6 features: the jetpack, flamethrower, portable drill, grappler, block picker, and drones. The jetpack is okay. It's designed mainly for movement over building, which I personally think is more of a con. When comparing it with the jetpack from the standalone jetpack mod, I think it kind of feels inferior. I think if a jetpack is added to Minecraft, its primary focus should be for building, not transport, as Elytra already covers that field. And if you want to make the argument that the Elytra is too broken and the create mod should be played without it, then adding this jetpack doesn't really fix your problem either. This jetpack is hard to control precisely and also has a height limit, which makes it pretty frustrating to build with. The flamethrower is okay. It does AoE damage, which is pretty useful, but it's nothing really too special or original. The portable drill is good. There's nothing really like it in the vanilla game or vanilla create, so it fills a good niche. And it also uses charge as opposed to durability, which means it will never actually break. Mining a 3x3 area is incredibly useful for mining or terraforming. The grappler is, in my opinion, probably the best thing this mod has to offer, purely because it's so fun. When you combine this with the slime boots, which are also included in this mod, traveling around your world becomes so enjoyable. I mean, I'll just let the footage speak for itself. The block picker is kind of like a gravity gun. Ironically, I think the best use case for this item is transporting mobs. It is a little buggy though. And finally, drones. Drones are conceptually very cool, and while they do have some good uses, they're pretty finicky and hard to use consistently. They're also good for transporting mobs. Oh, and you can use the magnet on yourself. Kind of. BTR. Adding structures that contain create mod items is a cool idea, especially considering that they don't exist in vanilla create. But with that being said, I definitely do have some major problems with this mod. Firstly, the structures feel incredibly imbalanced. I mean, this one has a beacon. Also, I think the main purpose of these structures aren't for looking nice, they're for giving the player create mod items, which I personally am not the biggest fan of. And you'll see what I mean through the background footage, but many of these structures contain piles of certain create mod blocks, and that's annoying because some of these structures are genuinely really cool. I'm a big fan of this crane. I think it's a great example of a structure that provides the player with materials, but actually integrating them into the build rather than whatever this is. Same thing with this ruin. I also like these 2 ships. Although they're also kind of imbalanced, they're rare enough for it to not feel too overpowered. And they also compensate by being really cool and big. Kind of like a woodland mansion. Some of my least favorites, however, are this floating thing with a beacon. This tank, I mean, what even is this? And finally, you can just find a complete underground create mod base. Like, what? On top of this, I don't think there are any functional create mod contraptions in any of the structures, which feel like a completely wasted opportunity. Like, we could have had some crazy traps or interactive puzzles or something. Oh, also, sometimes the structures generate really unnaturally. C tier. Okay, so after some revision, I think I'm actually going to put this in the D tier. While recording the footage for the other mods, I realized that these structures are actually really common, and while some of them are cool, they kind of end up just flooding your world. The items in this mod are actually a collection of components ported over from Create Destroy, an add-on which I covered in my last ranking video. Functionally, it's very similar to something like Create Connected. It essentially adds a handful of quality of life blocks that can be used to simplify the transportation of stress. The difference is the stuff that this mod adds covers really niche problems. Like, for example, the differential cog adds and subtracts the rotation of the 2 feeding shafts, which, I mean, isn't exactly the most applicable. The upside to this mod though is that it looks really cool. Especially the colossal cogwheel. I mean, this thing just makes your factories look so much more eye-grabbing. I really appreciate the addition of the double carded shaft. Switching directions when transferring stress is usually a pain since the easiest way is to use a gearbox. With the addition of this component, you're able to have so much more control over which way your stress is going. The most actually useful items in this mod are these 2 tube things. They're used to freely transport stress and items, which you might think is broken, and I did too until I actually tried and realized that they have so many placement restrictions, so you can't just connect any point with any other point. You still have to kind of plan your build. I like this mod. Not a must-have, but it definitely spices up your playthrough. B tier. Custom weapons have been around in modern Minecraft basically since the very beginning. Throughout the years, many mods have tried to integrate guns into the game. Love and War attempts to do that using the Create mod as a middleman, and it's okay. Guns are crafted using these molds and parts, which I actually think is a really good and easy way to handle crafting when you have a mod that adds so many types of one item, so good job on that one. The guns are fine, they don't feel that great, but they're not horrible. The recoil is really odd. As somebody who used to play a lot of CS and Valorant, it's quite weird to see the bullets land under the crosshair, but that's kind of just personal preference. There's also a bit of customization with the included attachments, nothing crazy, but it's nice to see. A really annoying feature in this mod is that the empty bullet casings will fly out the side of your firearm after shooting around, which, I mean, I get it's supposed to be realistic, but like, it's so annoying. Look, the bottom line is, this mod is fine, but I don't really see a world where you'd use this over other more polished gun mods. You could argue it's worth it for the Create mod recipes, but like, you're not gonna be automating guns anyway, so what's even the point? The only feature saving this mod a little is this little guy, the robot dog, who once upgraded follows you around and acts as storage and shoots enemies for you. C tier. In the last video I reviewed Create North Star, a mod that lets you travel to space, and many of you suggested Above and Beyond. Guys, this is a mod pack, but on the topic of space travel, a few of you also suggested. While I'm aware this isn't technically a Create mod add-on, it's an add-on for Valkyrian Skies, I did get suggestions to cover this one and it looked really cool. Plus, Valkyrian Skies is almost always played with the Create mod anyway. In fact, when I first booted this mod up, I actually installed it without the Create mod, but immediately realized that was a horrible idea. You really need link controllers for a mod like this to function correctly. Now, ranking this mod was actually fairly difficult because it's technically a compatibility add-on for Valkyrian Skies and a mod called Cosmic Horizon. Most of everything you're seeing on screen is from Cosmic Horizons, not Starlands. And because of that, I can't really say Starlands is good because of its stunning visuals or planet generation. That being said though, I still think this is a really great mod with a few caveats. To start positive, when I was ranking North Star, I said there was something special about building your own rocket and taking it to space. That absolutely applies here. Except Starlands gives you even more customization, allowing you to actually manually control your spaceship instead of just watching an animation play. Additionally, the mod is very simple to use. Thrusters are powered simply with redstone, which could be a placeholder. I definitely see this mod adding fuel in the future, but as it currently stands, it's very easy to experiment with. Unfortunately, this mod suffers the same fate as literally any other Valkyrian Skies add-on. It's in very, very early development and is quite incomplete. The mod can be buggy at times and feel a little clunky. There are also currently no recipes for any of the items this mod adds, so it's not very survival compatible. Also, this is me kind of being nitpicky, but I also don't like how the threshold for reaching space is only y equals 560. I feel like that's kind of too low. I will say though, even if you're not into space mods, the blocks from Starlands are also compatible with Eureka, Clockwork, Trackwork, and every other Valkyrian Skies add-on, which is nice if you're just looking for a simple to use thruster for your physics object. I really hope development for this mod continues because I'd love to see where they can take this add-on, but for now, it's gonna sit comfortably in the B tier. Create Design and Decor is, in my opinion, the best decoration add-on out there. What really separates this one from the others is the fact that it's incredibly polished. I've never been that into deco mods, but I have to say, after playing around with the items, it definitely made me want to add it to my mod pack. My favorite thing about this mod has got to be its simplicity. It doesn't add a bunch of custom crafting materials and overcomplicate its recipes. Everything in this mod is created using only materials from Vanilla Create. I also like how it adds some functional blocks. I really like the look of these custom crushing wheels, and the new metal cogs look clean. I know you can achieve something similar with Copycats Plus, but this one feels nicer as it actually has a custom model. It also adds these colored metal blocks which have a really nice washed out texture. In fact, this mod adds plenty of colored blocks, which is great for texturing and detailing. I think this mod is a great way to add more detail into your world without requiring that much more effort, and everything is fairly easily obtainable, apart from these funky chains. They don't have a recipe for some reason. Anyway, great mod, amazing if you like building. A tier. While the Create mod gives you the ability to automate most items and mechanics in Minecraft, it does end up missing a few, and that's more or less what this add-on covers. With vintage improvements, you're now able to automate processes like leaf harvesting, smithing, glass panes, and more. It also adds a handful of its own recipes like uncrafting with the centrifuge, and gives you more options for create items like auto sanding. This one's especially interesting because it requires a low RPM, which isn't really something I've seen before. Just pointing it out. This mod is pretty cool, but currently I feel like some of the blocks don't do that much. For example, the laser cutter is only used to make glass panes, and most of the other blocks also fall victim to something like this. I think this mod would actually be great for some cross add-on compatibility. Like, for example, provide alternate crafting recipes for items in bigger add-ons like Steam and Rails or TFMG or something like that. This way the blocks would have more than just a few functions and would incentivize actually using them. Currently as it stands, I think this mod isn't really that important to your playthrough, as setting up these machines can be quite the hassle when they don't really do that much. I do really like the sander and the centrifuge though. C tier. Cobblestone generators can be incredibly laggy, which is kinda a big problem because cobblestone just so happens to be really useful in Create. That's where this add-on steps in. Now, I don't have that much to say about this add-on. It's pretty straightforward. It basically just replaces your generators with a singular block, which is directly powered with stress. When I was first messing around with this add-on, I thought the generator block was a little too overpowered and I was going to put it straight into the D tier, but then I realized this mod literally gives you full customization over every stat, so you can perfectly adjust its strength to what feels balanced to you. Then I also realized that if you installed this mod, it's probably because you don't have a $5,000 PC and want to play modded Minecraft without your game on life support. It essentially takes a feature that's already in the game and simplifies it, making it more accessible for people with less powerful computers. And for that, I guess I can't really hate on this mod that much. Like, if you don't like it, just don't install it. You're not missing any features by playing without it like you might be with other add-ons. B tier. Create Radars does about exactly what you'd expect a mod called Create Radars to do. It adds radars. They're a multi-block structure that looks something like this and are used to scan mobs, players, contraption, projectiles, and the coolest one, Valkyrian Sky's ships. That's right, this mod is compatible with other Create mod add-ons. More on this in a second. The radars are quite intuitive and simple. They're easy to craft, which is a big win. My one complaint is that you're not able to filter between passive and hostile mob, because otherwise I think this thing would be incredibly useful for spawn-proofing nearby caves to increase mob farm efficiency. If you're into Create PvP, this add-on is, dare I say, essential for one reason. That it's compatible with Create Big Cannons, giving you the ability to auto-aim multiple cannons, which is an incredibly cool feature considering we don't usually get cross add-on content like this. Now, PvP add-ons in my opinion are still quite niche because there's not that much demand for them. That being said though, I do genuinely believe this mod has more use cases than Create Big Cannons. B tier. Honestly, I wasn't originally going to rank this one, not because it's bad or anything, but just because its main purpose is to add food and there's about a million other add-ons that do the same thing. But after reading your comments, I was shocked to see this one actually suggested quite a bit. Not gonna lie, I thought I was like the only person on earth to play with this mod installed, but I guess not. Bitterbollen adds a bunch of deep fried foods to your game. It stands out a little more amongst the bajillion other food add-ons purely because it adds this thing. Yes, you actually have to deep fry your food other than just putting it into a furnace or a crafting table. This adds an extra layer to the mod, which makes it a little more fun, but at the end of the day, it still doesn't really add that much. In my last video, I ranked a mod called Create Food, which in my opinion is probably sufficient for create food related content. Unless you're really into deep fried food, this mod isn't anything too special. C tier. Okay, that was part 3 of ranking create add-ons. I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm just going to end the video real quick. Bye bye.